Two mysterious stablecoins are launching on a so-called Ethereum killer blockchain, and yet somehow I ended up knee-deep in this story. Yeah, running a bizarre crypto experiment from our very own desk right here. I mean, just imagine accidentally becoming part of a high-stakes crypto saga just because you got curious. Yeah, that's exactly what happened here today. So, here's how I fell down this rabbit hole. It started with a routine price alert on my phone. Sui, the token from the Sui network, was suddenly spiking almost 10% in 24 hours. Normally, I'm not one to chase random altcoin pumps, but I'm invested in Sui, so I have to have a look. And I've been around long enough to know better, but this time something caught my eye. The reason behind that pump was anything but normal. Now, it involved big names like BlackRock and Google, whispers of not one but two new stablecoins on Sui, and believe it or not, my own money is on the line, so I had to find out what on earth was going on. The more that I dug in, the crazier that it got. Sui isn't just launching a stablecoin, they're actually launching two, through a partnership with an outfit called Athena Labs and with the Sui Foundation's blessing. Now, one stablecoin promises to pay you yield, and the other is backed one-to-one by a fund from BlackRock. And yes, that BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager. Now, at this point, my eyebrows are in orbit. This is a relatively new blockchain partnering with the likes of BlackRock. Now that's like a rookie boxer getting training tips from Muhammad Ali. Now I had so many questions here. Is Sui trying to outdo Ethereum and become the next big thing? Or is this another Terra-styled stablecoin disaster waiting to happen? I needed answers, and I needed them fast. But I didn't just sit back and read the news. Oh no, I went hands-on. In the kind of spur of the moment, I ended up investing in something tangibly related to Sui's ambitious plans. I bought a Unity Node NFT. Now, if you haven't heard of Unity nodes, picture this. It's basically a way to turn everyday smartphones into a decentralized network that earns cryptocurrencies. Each Unity node is an NFT that comes with 200 licensing NFTs. So think of those as seats or slots that run the network on individual phones. So I could run up to 200 of them. And yes, I now own one of those things. And it kind of set me back around $5,000. And in return, I got the NFT itself and a bunch of NFT licenses, right? Ready to deploy on 200 smartphones. I know. Why did I do something so crazy? Blame my curiosity here. Now, the idea of building a mini telecoms network in my house was just too wild to resist. It's kind of like I'm running my own AT&T or something, right? Out of my own bedroom, except instead of phone bills, I might actually get paid in crypto rewards. Emphasis on the might here because it's experimental at this stage. Soon, I might be able to install the Unity app on a whole bunch of phones, smartphones, Androids, or iOS devices, and let them just do their thing. Verify network integrity for the carriers. Basically, I make sure that calls and data go through smoothly. It's kind of like having 10 little robot employees working for me 24/7. Each one is going to be earning me little bits of cryptocurrency, and rumor has it that the rewards can be withdrawn in a selection of different crypto assets, maybe even Sui tokens, which would be fitting given all of this Sui hype that I've been caught up in, right? Now, I'm planning to start a small test here. 10 phones on my desk, all running the Unity app, humming away. And honestly, I kind of feel like a mad scientist conducting some weird crypto experiment. My desk is about to look like an electronics store display, or maybe the set of Mr. Robot. Now, before I go any further, let me just hit pause here for an important disclaimer, especially since I just told you that I dropped $5,000 on a speculative kind of crypto kind of gizmo, if you will. Now, this might shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the story here, because it only gets more intriguing from here. Now, let's get back to Sui and those two mysterious stablecoins. Here is the scoop, right? The Sui network's treasury arm, this is Sui Group, the SUIG, if you will, right, has teamed up with the Athena Labs and the Sui Foundation to introduce two new digital dollar tokens on the Sui blockchain by the end of 2025. Now, they are called Sui USD and USD AI. Right, now, the goal behind both of these is to strengthen the liquidity on Sui and expand what the network can do. Both coins are supposed to stay pegged to, at least at $1 and to the USD, if you will, like any other stablecoin in the States. But they actually take very different approaches in order to get there. Sui USD is, I guess, the wild one of the two pairs, or of the pair, right? Now, it's a synthetic stablecoin modeled after Athena's existing synthetic dollar, USDE. Now, synthetic meaning that it isn't actually backed by cash in a bank, but by a mix of digital assets and some creative financial engineering. Think crypto collateral and derivatives to maintain its peg. The big selling point is yield, right? Now, I'm not a big fan of synthetic assets. I'm going to put that out there right now. I don't like them. Personally, I don't go near them. But let me talk about this. Simply holding Sui USDE could earn you interest over time. It's a bit like a savings dollar account or account dollar, that actually pays you, but it's in crypto form, right? It sounds great. Now, of course, high-yield stablecoins give at least me, a bit of deja vu, because anyone else who does remember, maybe was around, you should remember Terra's UST and the insane 20% yields that ended up in a catastrophe. Right now, I'm cautiously intrigued here. Athena's own USDE token is pretty massive. We're talking roughly $14 billion circulating. So they do have some experience here. Now, if Sui USDE can replicate that success on Sui, well, it might draw in a lot of users looking to squeeze a little extra return from their dollars. But that's a big if, and it comes with all sorts of risk that if the peg mechanism doesn't hold up, right? It's not one for me personally. Meanwhile, we've got USDI, and this is a straight-laced twin, right? There are no yields here, there's no fancy tricks. It is just a stablecoin backed one-to-one by actual dollars in a highly trusted form. How? Well, it's fully collateralized by BlackRock's tokenized money market fund, known as BUIDL. In essence, USDI is a crypto token that represents a share in a BlackRock-managed fund, full of ultra-safe assets like treasury bills, right? It's as if you took $1 and gave it to BlackRock to hold in their big vault for low-risk investments, and they gave you a digital token in return that you can use on the Sui blockchain. Now, this one's all about trust and transparency. This is more my game. Now, you don't expect USDI to earn you any yield or do anything fancy here. It's just there to be rock solid and rather boring, but in a really good way. So if someone is nervous about, let's say, Sui's USDE's complexity, like me, then USDI is the safe option to park your money in the Sui ecosystem. Sui Group isn't just launching these coins for the heck of it either, though, right? They have a much bigger plan. They're rolling out Sui USDE and the USDI, and they're positioning themselves as the sort of next generation Sui bank for the whole ecosystem. They even kind of hinted at allocating a part of the stablecoin reserves to strengthen the Sui Group's own balance sheets. In plain terms here, right? If a lot of people use these stablecoins, Sui Group, could become a major hub of financial activity on the network, kind of like how big exchanges or banks function in traditional finance. Now, this could mean more revenue for them and more stability for the Sui network, if done right. It's a rather bold strategy, but it does come with some pretty hefty challenges. One major hurdle is going to be regulation. Now, in the United States, a new piece of legislation called the Genius Act, yes, that's really its name, and is poised to reinforce or enforce strict rules on stablecoin issuers. Essentially, if you issue a stablecoin, you need to back it with super safe, very liquid assets, think US government bonds or cash, not volatile crypto tokens. Now, guess what Sui Group's treasury mostly consists of? You got it. Sui tokens. And last time I checked, no regulator is going to accept we have a bunch of our own volatile tokens as reserves. That is a kind of valid answer to that. So to comply with the rules and not raise any red flags, Sui Group will likely need to convert a chunk of their holdings into safer assets like cash or treasuries. Now that could be pretty tricky. Will they sell Sui tokens to do that? If they sell too much, it could hurt Sui's price. Nobody wants that, right? And if they don't secure enough safe collateral, well, they might be forced to geofence the US users or otherwise limit the stablecoins. It's a delicate balancing act here. Then there's the competition, right? The stablecoin arena is dominated by giants like USDT Tether and USDC Circle. Newcomer stablecoins face an uphill battle, winning trust and finding users. Sui's stablecoins, will need a compelling reason for people to use them over established options. Having BlackRock in the mix definitely helps with credibility for USDI, and offering yield could attract some users towards Sui USD, right? But make no mistake here. Right? Persuading people to switch is hard, right? Every stablecoin needs to prove it's safe, and no one wants to hold a coin that might depeg and crash, and Sui's coins will be scrutinized, especially after high-profile blow-ups that we've had in the past. Now, with all of these considerations were swirling in my mind, excitement about the tech, but caution about the what-ifs. Meanwhile, out in the market, something interesting was actually happening and caught my attention. Right? People were actually starting to pay attention. That Sui price spike, that initially alerted me, wasn't just a one-off. At the time, this was all about the news. Sui was trading at around, $3.56, and its price had jumped nearly 10% in a single day, with trading volume surging into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, those are some serious numbers, and it's usually a sign that insiders or keen investors see some real potential here, or at least some real hype. It's kind of like the market was saying, okay, Sui, you have our attention. Now show us what you've got. And Sui's team has been showing exactly that. In mid-September, they announced a partnership with Google's Angelic Payments protocol. Now, if you haven't heard of it, Angelic is Google's initiative to integrate blockchain networks into everyday payment systems. So think of Angelic as a bridge between traditional payment networks like credit cards and banking systems we use today and blockchain technology itself. So if Sui ends up being the one of the kind of blockchains that is that bridge, it means that Sui could handle some of the behind-the-scenes processing for digital transactions on a potentially global scale. Now, you might one day use a payment app powered by Google and not even realize that Sui is doing some of the work under the hood. How crazy and cool is that, right? Mystine Labs, the people behind Sui, said that this opens the door for a long-term mainstream adoption of the Sui network. And that's not all. Rewind just a little bit to late August, and Sui partnered with Alibaba Cloud to launch something called the Chain ID, an AI-powered toolkit for Web3 developers. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but here is why it really matters to normal people like us. Right? This tool makes it easy, or life much easier, for developers on Sui by automating things like code references and security checks. So imagine writing a smart contract and having an AI help catch all of your mistakes in real time, and maybe even suggest improvements. It means fewer buggy apps, and faster developments on Sui. In other words, Sui is smoothing the road for the builders, the people who will create the next killer decentralized application that might bring millions of users. In fact, even Grayscale Research highlighted Sui's potential to deliver the next killer decentralized application. So, between big tech partnerships and developer-friendly moves, Sui is covering its bases, users, builders, and now, with stablecoins, the financial plumbing too. So, by this point in my research, one thing was pretty obvious. Sui isn't playing small ball, right? They're actually swinging for the fences, trying to be the network that can do it all. And honestly, that's why I got swept up in all of it, right? And why I didn't mind getting my little skin in the game with a Unity node that's going to passively pay me in Sui tokens. Now, it's all part of a much bigger picture, right? Crypto networks expanding into real-world utility. I mean, here I am trying to run a mini little network of phones to support the telecoms infrastructure and earn Sui crypto tokens as a reward. And all that's happening at the same time Sui is trying to bring dollars into a blockchain and make inroads with giant tech companies. Both are attempting to bridge crypto with very different lifestyles. Like the convergence of all of these ideas had me sitting back in kind of awe. Now, I don't blame you guys if you're thinking, all of this sounds exciting, but it's just a whole lot of optimism. What is the catch? The catch is that none of it is guaranteed to succeed, right? It is, it's true, right? I might run the 10 phones here, for example, right? And the rewards barely cover the electricity bill, or maybe the subscription charges on those phones. Maybe I'm not going to be able to scale it to 20, 30, 40, 50, 200 phones, right? Maybe something just doesn't work, maybe as planned out, right? And Sui might launch all of these stablecoins and see them flop as users don't trust them or if regulators intervene, right? There's a non-zero chance that in a year we look back and say, well, it was a crazy experiment and it just didn't pan out. But here's why I'm still on board and eagerly watching, because if it does pan out, even just partially, right, it could mark a turning point, right? Sui establishing a thriving economy, a stablecoin economy on its chain could make a serious contender in the space, maybe even as an Ethereum rival in practice, not just in marketing slogans, right? And Unity, these applications, these mobile devices I'm going to use, maybe they'll prove that average people can contribute to networks like the telecom industry and get paid a reasonable amount in cryptocurrency assets like Sui, which would be mind-blowing for how we think about passive income and tech participation. I should also mention here that I'm not throwing all of my money into this stuff. This is an adventure, not my retirement plan. In our free educational Discord, the link in the description, by the way, we talk about all these kind of things in real time, right? Balancing the excitement with caution, sharing the research, calling out all of the scams and the scammers, the whole lot of it. So if you're into all this kind of deep dive and new innovative kind of stuff, then you should definitely join us down in the Discord server and be a part of the conversation. It's a lot more fun and sane to kind of navigate this whole crypto rabbit hole with others that, think the same way, that know that you're not alone. And speaking of navigation, if you're wondering how I trade or even buy some of these kind of coins while I'm experimenting with nodes and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to be straight with you guys. I do use platforms like Blowfin and BitGet for a lot of my trading activity, right? I've got affiliate links for both of those down in the description, and using those links, signing up and trading through them does support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. Seriously. It might just cover some of the costs of running the phones 24/7, for example. And of course, they're solid exchanges, right? If you need a place to grab some Sui or whatever, token that catches your eye, then just remember, you've got to be careful out there. Now, also in the description down below, you will find a link to the Unity. You'll have all of the information about Unity nodes there and even their rewards calculator, so you can do the math yourself. All right, so what is the final takeaway here? Well, to me, Sui's big stablecoin venture, its partnerships with juggernauts like Google and Alibaba, and even quirky side projects with my Unity node experiment all point to one thing. Crypto is maturing and it's reaching into the real world in ways that we once only really dreamed about. Sui wants to be at the heart of that evolution. It's trying to be the network where you do all of the cool crypto things, trade, invest, play, build, right? Use stablecoins for everyday stuff without having to jump elsewhere. Will it succeed? Well, we're going to see. But watching them try, in fact, personally testing a piece of that vision with my own resources, has been one of the most thrilling rides I've been on in a while in this crypto space. So the question is, are you coming along for the ride, right? If you found this journey as wild as I did, then you can do me a favor, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and stick around. Because trust me, you're not going to want to miss what's coming next, because in crypto, the story only gets stranger from here.